Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Refer to for illustration or proof. A short note recognizing a source of information or of a quoted passage. Advance evidence for. Repeat a passage from. Call in an official matter, such as to attend court. Refer to. Make reference to. Commend. He was cited for his outstanding achievements. Refer to for illustration or proof. He said he could quote several instances of this behavior. A passage or expression that is quoted or cited. A punctuation mark used to attribute the enclosed text to someone else. Repeat a passage from. He quoted the Bible to her. Name the price of. Quote prices for cars. Put quote marks around. A short note recognizing a source of information or of a quoted passage. The acknowledgments are usually printed at the front of a book. A statement acknowledging something or someone. She must have seen him, but she gave no sign of acknowledgement. The state or quality of being recognized or acknowledged. A short note recognizing a source of information or of a quoted passage. The student's essay failed to list several important citations. A passage or expression that is quoted or cited. An official award, as for bravery or service, usually given as formal public statement. A summons that commands the appearance of a party at a proceeding. Law, the act of citing, as of spoken words or written passages or legal precedents, etc. Thoroughbred that won the Triple Crown in 1948. A short note recognizing a source of information or of a quoted passage. Ascribe an achievement to. She was not properly credited in the program. An accounting entry acknowledging income or capital items. An estimate, based on previous dealings, of a person's or an organization's ability to fulfill their financial commitments. Approval. He was given credit for his work. Arrangement for deferred payment for goods and services. Recognition by a college or university that a course of studies has been successfully completed, typically measured in semester hours. Accounting. Enter as credit. We credit your account with $100. An entry on a list of persons who contributed to a film or written work. The credits were given at the end of the film. Give someone credit for something. We credited her for saving our jobs. Have trust in. Trust in the truth or veracity of. Money available for a client to borrow. Used in the phrase, to your credit, in order to indicate an achievement deserving praise. She already had several performances to her credit. A short note recognizing a source of information or of a quoted passage. The article includes mention of similar clinical cases. An official recognition of merit. Although he didn't win the prize, he did get special mention. A remark that calls attention to something or someone. She made frequent mention of her promotion. Make mention of. Make reference to. His name was mentioned in connection with the invention. Commend. A short note recognizing a source of information or of a quoted passage. A passage or expression that is quoted or cited. A statement of the current market price of a security or commodity. The practice of quoting from books or plays, etc. Since he lacks originality, he must rely on quotation. A formal recommendation by a former employer to a potential future employer describing the person's qualifications and dependability. Requests for character references are all too often answered evasively. A publication, or a passage from a publication, that is referred to. He carried an armful of references back to his desk. The act of referring or consulting. Reference to an encyclopedia produced the answer. A short note recognizing a source of information or of a quoted passage. The most direct or specific meaning of a word or expression. The class of objects that an expression refers to. A remark that calls attention to something or someone. The speaker made several references to his wife. Computer science. The code that identifies where a piece of information is stored. A book to which you can refer for authoritative facts. He contributed articles to the basic reference work on that topic. Refer to. He referenced his colleague's work. An indicator that orients you generally. It is used as a reference for comparing the heating and the electrical energy involved. The relation between a word or phrase and the object or idea it refers to. He argued that reference is a consequence of conditioned reflexes. Advance evidence for. Advance evidence for. Make ready for action or use. Call in an official matter, such as to attend court. Gather or bring together. Cause to become available for use, either literally or figuratively. Running into an old friend summoned up memories of her childhood. Ask to come. Summon a lawyer. A request to be present. A writ issued by authority of law. Usually compels the defendant's attendance in a civil suit. Failure to appear results in a default judgment against the defendant. Call in an official matter, such as to attend court. An order to appear in person at a given place and time. Make a more or less disguised reference to. Give heed to. Make reference to. A public promotion of some product or service. Summon into action or bring into existence, often as if by magic. Put forward for consideration or discussion. Bring up an unpleasant topic. Raise from a lower to a higher position. Cause to load an operating system, and start the initial processes. Make reference to. Look after a child until it is an adult. Bring up children. Cause to come to a sudden stop. Promote from a lower position or rank. Assign a specified, usually proper name to. They named their son David. Give or make a list of. Name individually. Give the names of. Give the name or identifying characteristics of. Refer to by name or some other identifying characteristic property. Many senators were named in connection with the scandal. Family based on male descent. He had no sons and there was no one to carry on his name. Determine or distinguish the nature of a problem or an illness through a diagnostic analysis. Charge with a function. Charge to be. She was named head of the committee. Identify as in botany or biology, for example. A defamatory or abusive word or phrase. A well-known or notable person. They studied all the great names in the history of France. Make reference to. His name was mentioned in connection with the invention. Create and charge with a task or function. A language unit by which a person or thing is known. His name really is George Washington. A person's reputation. He wanted to protect his good name. By the sanction or authority of. Halt in the name of the law. Mention and identify by name. Name your accomplices. Be relevant to. There were lots of questions referring to her talk. Seek information from. Refer to your notes. Have as a meaning. Make reference to. Send or direct for treatment, information, or a decision. Refer a patient to a specialist. Think of, regard, or classify under a subsuming principle or with a general group or in relation to another. This plant can be referred to a known species. Use a name to designate. Christians refer to the mother of Jesus as the Virgin Mary. The act of adding notes. A comment or instruction, usually added. A technical system of symbols used to represent special things. A comment or instruction, usually added. He added a short notation to the address on the envelope. The activity of representing something by a special system of marks or characters. A piece of paper money, especially one issued by a central bank. He peeled off 5 1,000 zloty notes. A notation representing the pitch and duration of a musical sound. The singer held the note too long. A short personal letter. A promise to pay a specified amount on demand or at a certain time. I had to co-sign his note at the bank. Make mention of. They noted that it was a fine day to go sailing. Observe with care or pay close attention to. Take note of this chemical reaction. High status importance owing to marked superiority. Make a written note of. She noted everything the teacher said that morning. A comment or instruction, usually added. His notes were appended at the end of the article. Notice or perceive. She noted that someone was following her. A brief written record. He made a note of the appointment. A characteristic emotional quality. It ended on a sour note. A tone of voice that shows what the speaker is feeling. There was a note of uncertainty in his voice. Provide evidence for. Give testimony in a court of law. Provide evidence for. Provide evidence for. Stand as proof of. Show by one's behavior, attitude, or external attributes. Give evidence. Your basis for belief or disbelief. Knowledge on which to base belief. The evidence that smoking causes lung cancer is very compelling. An indication that makes something evident. His trembling was evidence of his fear. Law. All the means by which any alleged matter of fact whose truth is investigated at judicial trial is established or disproved. Provide evidence for. Give testimony in a court of law. Provide evidence for. The blood test showed that he was the father. Pretending that something is the case in order to make a good impression. That ceremony is just for show. Take someone to their seats, as in theaters or auditoriums. The usher showed us to our seats. Indicate a certain reading of gauges and instruments. The thermometer showed 13 degrees below zero. Indicate a place, direction, person, or thing, either spatially or figuratively. I showed the customer the glove section. Show in, or as in, a picture. Be or become visible or noticeable. His good upbringing really shows. Something intended to communicate a particular impression. A show of impatience. Give an exhibition of to an interested audience. She shows her dogs frequently. Give expression to. She showed her disappointment. Establish the validity of something, as by an example, explanation or experiment. The mathematician showed the validity of the conjecture. A social event involving a public performance or entertainment. They wanted to see some of the shows on Broadway. Finish third or better in a horse or dog race. He bet $2 on number 6 to show. Give evidence of, as of records. The diary shows his distress that evening. Make visible or noticeable. She showed her talent for cooking. The act of publicly exhibiting or entertaining. A remarkable show of skill. Provide evidence for. Cause to puff up with 11. Increase in volume. Be shown or be found to be. She proved to be right. Put to the test, as for its quality, or give experimental use to. Establish the validity of something, as by an example, explanation or experiment. Obtain probate of. Prove a will. Prove formally. Demonstrate by a mathematical, formal proof. Take a trial impression of. Render verbally. Retell a story. Make into fiction. To say, state, or perform again. 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 Run or be performed again. The function iterates. To say, state, or perform again. Make or do or perform again. Repeat an earlier theme of a composition. Do over. To say again or imitate. An event that repeats. The events today were a repeat of yesterday's. Happen or occur again. Assign a specified, usually proper name to. Make a prediction about. Tell in advance. Order, request, or command to come. She was called into the director's office. Utter a sudden loud cry. Pay a brief visit. The mayor likes to call on some of the prominent citizens. The option to buy a given stock, or stock index or commodity future, at a given price before a given date. A demand by a broker that a customer deposit enough to bring his margin up to the minimum requirement. A demand especially in the phrase the call of duty. A telephone connection. She reported several anonymous calls. A loud utterance, often in protest or opposition. Greet, as with a prescribed form, title, or name. She calls him by first name. Demand payment of a loan. Give the calls to the dancers for a square dance. Get or try to get into communication with someone by telephone. I tried to call you all night. The characteristic sound produced by a bird. Make a demand, as for a card or a suit or a show of hands. He called his trump. A brief social visit. Senior professors' wives no longer make afternoon calls on newcomers. A demand for a show of hands in a card game. After 2 raises there was a call. An instruction that interrupts the program being executed. Pascal performs calls by simply giving the name of the routine to be executed. A request. Many calls for Christmas stories. Ascribe a quality to or give a name of a common noun that reflects a quality. He called me a bastard. A special disposition, as if from a divine source, to pursue a particular course. A visit in an official or professional capacity. The pastor's calls on his parishioners. Call a meeting. Invite or command to meet. The Onesie conference was called to discuss the final solution. Challenge somebody to make good on a statement, charge with or censure for an offense. He deserves to be called on that. Challenge the sincerity or truthfulness of. Call the speaker on a question of fact. Consider or regard as being. I would not call her beautiful. Declare in the capacity of an umpire or referee. Call a runner out. Indicate a decision in regard to. Call balls and strikes behind the plate. Lure by imitating the characteristic call of an animal. Make a stop in a harbor. The ship will call in Honolulu tomorrow. Order or request or give a command for. The unions called a general strike for Sunday. Order, summon, or request for a specific duty or activity, work, role. He was already called 4 times for jury duty. Read aloud to check for omissions or absentees. Require the presentation of for redemption before maturation. Rouse somebody from sleep with a call. I was called at 5 a.m. this morning. Send a message or attempt to reach someone by radio, phone, etc. Make a signal in order to transmit a message. Hawaii is calling. Sports, the decision made by an umpire or referee. He was ejected for protesting the call. Stop or postpone because of adverse conditions, such as bad weather. Call a football game. Utter a characteristic note or cry. Blue Jays called to one another. Utter in a loud voice or announce. He called my name.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.